アメリカのお母さんにプレゼントしていいかしら。
もちろん。喜んでもらえるならそれが一番いい。
ありがとう。
さてと、次はどうする？他に見てみたいところはあるか？と言ってもアニメやゲームのショップなんかは興味ないよな。
クリス、悪いけどしばらく岡部さんと二人きりにしてくれる？
No, no. She's gonna get the wrong idea.
ついに自分の気持ちに素直になることにしたんですね。岡部、ちゃんとしなさいよ。
はあ？
先輩、頑張って。それじゃ。
冷や嬢さん？
行きたい場所もう一つあるんだけれど。
そうか。どこだ？
Is it someplace you didn't want Kirito knowing about?
あそこよ。わかるでしょ？
The smile was gone from Maho's face. She looked like she'd come to some kind of decision, and then I realized where she wanted to go.
ラジカンに連れて行って。
Oh, fuck. The radio building. And she wanted me to take her there. I understood immediately. Because that's where Kirito Makase had died. I'd gone up to the roof several times since then. The time machine was there, and Suzuha and Dara would go up once in a while to do maintenance. Just a few days ago, Suzuha had called me out there and pointed a gun in my face. But even so, I'd never been to that storeroom on the 8th floor where it happened. I couldn't bring myself to do it. Just remembering what happened was enough to cause a severe flashback. There was no way I could visit the site of her death.
大丈夫。ずいぶん顔色が悪いけれど。クリスのこと思い出してしまうの？
そうだろうな。
辛いならついてこなくてもいいわ。私一人で行くから。
But her face was colorless. Going there had to be hard on her too. But even so, she was trying to come to grips with Kirito's death. I wanted to help her remember our friend. The radio building was going to be renovated. There wasn't a lot of time.
いや、一緒に行くよ。
Half of the shops had already been moved to another building to make way for the renovation. But many of the shops on the 7th floor were still open. Six months ago, on July 28th, I killed Kirito on the floor just above where I was standing. With my own hands.
ここなの？
いや、事件があったのはこの上の階だと聞いている。
I wasn't supposed to have been at the scene of Kirito's death. I'd already asked Mayuri and Dara not to tell anyone.
上には何が？
イベント会場と、あとは倉庫とかになってる。
行ってみてもいいのかしら？
今は立ち入り禁止のはず。
But the rope that always blocked off the way to the 8th floor wasn't there today. I could hear loud voices and laughter from above. Since it was a day off, there must have been some kind of event going on upstairs.
大丈夫そうね。
Maho headed up the stairs first. I slowly dragged myself up the stairs. We passed by the event hall into the back. It looked like there was no one around. Nothing had changed in 6 months.
ここだ。
There were no lights on. The place seemed dark and lonely. This time the storeroom was locked.
そう。こんな場所で。
I could see her lips trembling as she whispered. It seemed strange. This was the place where Kirito had died, covered in blood. And yet nearby the rest of the world continued on like it didn't care. And now I'd come back, even though this is where the one I loved had died.
もどかしいわ。 私は物理学者ではないから相対性理論のことを詳細に理解しているわけではないけれど、時間と空間が同列だというのなら、なぜ空間と同じように時間も容易に移動できないのかしらね。今私たちは空間的にはクリスの死と同じ軸上にいるのよ。なのに時間軸がほんの少しずれているというだけで手出しすることすら叶わない。あなたこの前クリスに、アマデウスの方だけど面白い質問をしたわよね。タイムマシンは作れるかどうかって。
ああ。
ぜひ研究してみてほしいわ。真っ先に私が友人テストに名乗り出るから。
I couldn't tell from the tone of her voice if she was serious or joking. She laughed sadly. Time machines are real, you know, and there's one right above us. What would she do if I told her that? Would she blame me for giving up on saving Kiriso and say she'd go back to the past herself?
岡部さん、クリスが亡くなった時の状況について教えてくれない？私詳しくは知らないの。
俺だってろくに知らないよ。前にそう話さなかったか？
でもアメリカにいた私よりは詳しいでしょ。クリスはどうしてこんなところに来たのかしら。クリスが死んだ時、すぐそこのイベントホールでは今日みたいにイベントが行われていたそうね。
We could hear the occasional sounds of laughter coming from the event hall.
中鉢博士、去年の夏ニュースになった。ロシアに亡命してタイムマシンに関する論文を書いたって。その論文の内容はそれはひどいものだったらしいけれど、ただそれでピンときたのよ。アメリカのクリスの家に放火した連中もロシア語を話していた。これ偶然かしら。私は何らかの関連性があると思う。だから中鉢博士について調べようと思ったんだけど、不思議なことに驚くほど情報がないのよ。ネットで検索しても本名すら出てこない。中鉢博士について言及しているブログやサイトを見に行ってもほとんどは閉鎖してるわ。しかもこの半年ほどで立て続けに。ねえ、一体クリスの周りで何が起きていたの？もしかして今もまだそれは続いているの？あなたは何を隠しているの？
Her eyes were pure and sought the truth. Kiriso used to get that exact same look in her eyes all the time. But
好奇心で足を突っ込まない方がいい。俺はもうたくさんだ。
今さらだわ。私は片足を突っ込んでしまっているのよ。それに考えてしまうのよ。この前襲われたのももしかすると私のせいじゃないかって。
君のせい？狙われる理由があるのか？
私は。
and then she paused for a moment.
私はクリスの遺産を持っている。
Belongings? Some of Kiriso's belongings? What does she mean? Maho had said that after Kiriso died, she'd gone to her home in America and received some of her belongings from her mom. Was she saying now the attack was because of that? My mind began to race. Russia. where Dr. Nakabachi had sought asylum. The people who attacked Kiriso's home spoke Russian. And just a few days ago, the Russians probably had experimented with changing the past. Suzuha had said that World War III would be set off by the time machine. The time machine? Nakabachi's paper? The paper he'd written about the time machine. The cause of the Third World War. A miraculous, nightmarish paper which would cause the deaths of 5.7 billion people. The time machine he discussed at his press conference was a ripoff of John Teeter's. But the one in his paper was different. I never managed to read it, though. But my guess was that Kiriso had showed him the original that she had written on July 28th, and his paper was an inferior copy. Kiriso had written down instructions for making a time machine. I shuddered. I quickly booted up the Line program on my smartphone. I paged through my chat logs. So now this is going to come back, I guess. The hard drive in the laptop contained the data for the original version of Nakabachi's paper. Maybe Kiriso's paper.
PC とハードディスク。まさかあれの解析を依頼したのは。
I looked at Maho. Excuse me. She looked back at me without smiling. And she nodded. From Maho's perspective, there were too many things about Kiriso's death that didn't make sense. Maybe that was why she decided to look into why Kiriso was killed. Of course, she assumed there were hints hidden inside her laptop and hard drive. But if my hypothesis was right, that laptop was too dangerous to be allowed to exist. It was Pandora's box, with the power to unleash the Third World War.
最初はあなたと橋田さんの関係を知らなかった。橋田さんに頼んだのは本当に偶然よ。そしてあなたはクリスのことについて何か隠しているように思えた。そんなあなたに正直に全て話せるわけないでしょう。信用していないというわけではないのだけど、クリスのことについては慎重になった方がいいと思って。
ああ、それについては正解だよ。アマデウスのテスターになることを反対しなかったのもそういう打算があってのことか。
打算なんて言わないで。私はただクリスの友達であるあなたのことをもっと知りたかった。
クリスの秘密を手に入れるために。
あの子のことをもっと知りたかったのよ。
She glared right back as if challenging me.
ダルはもう解析したのか。
まだよ。だからアメリカに帰る前に最後にもう一度あなたと話をしようと思ったの。
So that's why she brought me here. I need to call Dara right now. Let's do that.
はい、もしもーし。
今ラボにいるか。
いや。
じゃあどこにいる？
家で絶賛エロゲ中。どうかしてん？
お前の裏のバイトについて話がしたい。
あれか。なんかマキセ氏の情報を思い出した？